Because you go to any new subdivision, it's completely flat. They just bulldoze it, fill it all in, make it flat, and then build the houses. We have an incredible topography in this neighborhood. And some of those which are so striking, like around Clendenin and some of those other little streets in that area, that you really can appreciate the topography. It wasn't destroyed. Those, I think, make up some of the most interesting cultural and streetscapes that we have in the area. But I think you'd have to look at it at a smaller version.
Are you talking about groupings of 20 buildings?
It could be blocks. Yeah, it's usually done as city blocks, but it can be really anything. It's what you feel is significant and what means something to you as a community.
What would you say is the minimum price tag for getting something?
Again, it really depends on how large an area. If you're looking at all of Bloor West Village, then you're looking at probably thousands of dollars. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because I know I was involved in one, because I'm also a heritage planner. I was involved in one that was 100 homes. So that's not huge. It was about 4 blocks by 4 blocks. And that was $160,000 to do that. And it took 3 years of my life. Day and night for 3 years.
So Steve, Gothic
Is that a rule of thumb?
Gothic Avenue would be $1,600 per house.
And I talked to one of my colleagues up in Brampton, and they were actually they already had a Heritage Conservation District that was done 20 years ago. They wanted to revisit it and look at how it was done and reconfigure their plan and strengthen their plan. So they did that, but even doing that for a relatively small area of about 50 homes cost them $100,000 to do that.
And this is raised all out of the homeowner's pocket?
That's what the City of Toronto is saying.
That's a lot of big things.
Yeah.
That's why they're not happening now.
We're really very, very concerned about.
However, the city has not passed that policy
Not
yet,
yet.
so there is time, and that's something maybe resident association could do, is to express their opinion on that.
The heritage is nice, I appreciate it, but I do speculate sometimes, like, as technology changes and everything, 100 years from now, what will the houses or the accommodation look like in this neighborhood? I mean, let's say brick homes of a certain shape and all that, was a certain kind of roof, was the style, the thing to do in the early 1900s, and maybe some other, like, we're seeing a lot of these big square things coming out now, and I don't know if there's a name for that style, what it is, but
It's more a modernist style, but I think
yeah.
that's
and I don't know if it makes better use of space or what it, like maybe it has some,
it's style.
what concerns me is that as things change, so much of it is just done not tastefully. I mean, it can be done, things can change. I don't mind that it
Yeah.
potentially could change, but.
And
so
that's
much
what a
of it is
Heritage
just
Conservation District is for, is
Yeah.
to allow change, but in a way that is compatible for the greater good and design and the stylistic, and looking at materials, everything for an area.
I've heard that we're relatively protected in Bloor West Village because the houses sort of fill the lot, like they're already a good size, so it's not like down in Swansea where you have a little one and you're gonna raise it.
There are exceptions, but generally, yes, most of the lots are relatively small.
There is an absolutely delightful little house in the corner of Weatherall and Armadale. And the architect that built it for himself. The woman that lives there now, her parents bought the house.
That's
so
Betty. That's Betty, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that house.
I want to designate, we talked with her about designating it, and she's all of a sudden, no.
Yeah.
And I don't want to
I
upset
would
her.
love to see that designated. That house is so fantastic.
People think, oh, if I designate my house, I can't sell it. Well, that's not true. I mean,
That's-
Joe can tell you that,
elderly
she's a
and
heritage
she's
planner, so am I,
afraid.
that is not the case.
The architect was the one who did the work for the pressed iron company. And the eaves troughs and downspouts there are original pressed iron.
Wow.
And the interior of the house is well preserved too. I mean, it's just absolutely
Because it's a bungalow,
drop dead.
someone's gonna buy it.
It's tiny, it'll be a decent
Probably.
And
I know.
I'm
Would be a
very
shame.
concerned.
Yes,
If there was some community will to
Yes.
do that,
Yeah.
it could maybe be acted upon.
yes, back.
I'd be changing the subject. You know, when you're walking down Runnymede, down this way towards the Bloor, there's a house on the right that has like a stone fence in front of it, and it's a stone house. Like, I just wondered what that was originally. Was it a farmhouse, or? Because I go by and I look at it.
Is that the one, it's a Montessori?
No, it's,
No.
you know it if you, it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
actually made of
I
stone.
can sort of picture the stone wall.
Yeah, it's a stone wall, but the house is made out of similar stone.
Oh, yes,
not
it's,
brick.
oh, yes, I
And it's
know
set
that.
back
Yes,
further?
it's a story and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
lovely.
also, I was just wondering, is that the Kennedy home then that's right over at Kennedy and Colback there? Up on the hill. Sort of up on the hill?
It's up on the hill, but a little ways down the block. About 2 doors down the block. I can locate it when I walk there. Yeah, no, I've got to actually physically go there to locate it.
You go down Colback from Runnymede, make a right turn on Kennedy, and it's right there, up. It's now all, it's all, the brick has all been painted.
Yeah, I think that's,
'Cause I've
like I
always
said,
wondered
I have to physically be there to say that's it, but I think that's,
Does that house have pillars?
Yeah, that's the house with the pillars.
It's just before Runnymede Public, on the east side.
There are a number of listed properties in the area, but not
Yeah.
designated.
Yeah.
And there is, listed well, the city holds what's called a register, an inventory of heritage properties. And being listed on the register or the inventory means that, not much, other than should the owner apply for demolition, then they must give notice to the city 60 days prior to the demolition taking place.
and the city
And that's-
can move to designate.
Yes, and then that 60 days, that gives the city an opportunity, if the will is there, to actually designate and prevent the demolition.
Which is what we did with the Baptist church.
Yeah, so a listing does help, and so there are a number of listed properties, but as far as designated, there are very few. And even designation does not mean it won't be demolished, but it's a pretty good chance. Under the Act, in order to have a building that is designated demolished, it must go to the OMB, and the OMB decides. And that's not a good thing, but that's a whole other topic.
But there are so many buildings and sites that are of importance that are not listed or anything
Or
else.
designated, yes.
And we would like to have, not a list. I haven't come up with a word for it other than a method of, a list of.
A wish list.
A wish list, an address of, a list of addresses with a little bit of information about them, flagging them so that the works department and the planning department and the building department will be aware of this as an important site. And if there's a query comes about it, then something.
But ideally,
can
all of
react.
those really should be on the city's inventory register, so that they
I
are.
would wonder if that's something
formally
that people
flagged.
who are retired might be able to do some research on properties and.
That would be
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. Anybody who's retired who wants to help, yeah.
When I
Let's do some.
retire?
When you retire.
Evelyn?
Why is the city passing the responsibility of ownership for residents as it relates to those financial?
Well, part of it's financial. They don't want to spend the money, and there are a lot of requests. They have requests, I'd say there's probably at least 25 to 30 requests across Toronto for Heritage Conservation Districts, so that's a lot of money. And the city's saying, we can't afford it.